Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Churches of Central Alabama. For those of you who wonder why I say it like that, it's because I'm speaking to three congregations now. I'm speaking to all of you here. I'm speaking to our folks online who are all over the country and world. And I'm speaking to our congregation in Tuscaloosa. So that is why we're saying that. Everything else is the same. Welcome to our online folks this morning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are today, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. To all who are here this morning, welcome home.
We appreciate your attention to this morning's announcements. You'll find the announcements in your order of service or on the slides for those of you at home. If you require accommodations during our service this morning, our ushers are available to assist. We have many wonderful volunteer opportunities at the church this fall. Please take a moment to pull out your connection card and let us know which ones you can help us with. Folks online, you can see the connection card via the link in the chat. Our services in October are themed around courage, and we are also celebrating LGBTQ+ History Month in a variety of ways. Each week we have an adult enrichment activities after service. This week, Carl Julian, a 5th degree black belt, will be leading a self-defense class. Next week, Bill Long is facilitating a class. And on the 16th, we will have food trucks back at church, and Reverend Julie will be leading a discussion on the UUA common read, Defund Fear by Zach Norris. Each week, Reverend Julie and Courtney are hosting an open small group on Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. If you'd like to be a part of the small group, please just show up. We are covering various topics about what it means to be you, and all are welcome, whether you are brand new to our church or a veteran member. Our October monthly newsletter is printed in the back. For online folks, if you would like a monthly newsletter mailed to you, please contact the church office. We have the following special announcements. First, welcome Samantha for stewardship.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Samantha Lalak. I'm part of your stewardship committee, along with Michelle Hilgeman-Pitts and Sarah Moody. So if you see us approaching you for money, it's legit. I wanted to make a ploy for our upcoming mystery night on October 15th. It's from 7 to 10 p.m. There are a coveted 34 spots available. They're $25 each for a seat. And if you want to ensure that your team is at a table together, it's $100 for a table of 4. We'll have snacks available and drinks available for purchase, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. We're making a plea for donations as well. If you'd like to bring in physical snacks or drinks, you can drop them off the Thursday before the event. Or if you want to send money our way to the office, we'll appreciate it as well, and I'll pick some up later at Costco. I'm going to be out later at a table in the narthex with the games. They have different themes. We just ask that one person on your team have a cell phone that can read a QR code because there are multiple levels to each of the mysteries. Some of them are an hour and a half, some of them are 3 hours. So it'll be just a night of fun and community. So we hope you all can come out. There will be childcare available if you request it. If enough folks request it, we'll have it available downstairs as well. So try to join us. It's October 15th, the Saturday from 7 to 10, and you can sign up online. The link is in your order of service on the Facebook event and in the weekly ACE. Thank you.
And now I'd like to welcome up Becky Laurent for Decorating Committee.
Hi, I wanted to invite y'all to a Meet the Artist reception for this show that's going on right now. It'll be Thursday night, an open house with beverages and snacks from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And I especially want to point out that the teacher of the class that this show represents is a nationally known contemporary realist painter who is an absolutely delightful person, Terry Strickland. And I forgot to put this in the all-church email, so if you know of somebody who's been particularly interested in this show, please pass on the word that there will be a reception Thursday night from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Yes, Ginger? Where? Here. And also the show will be coming down in mid-October, so if you have an interest in any of these paintings, start giving some thought to whether you want to make a purchase. Thank you.
All right. For the final announcements, October is Selective Mutism Awareness Month, and I'm just going to read a small poem by Helen Edgar. The child who does not speak, the child who does not speak to you has a voice like other kids you speak to. You may not have heard that voice, but that's not their conscious choice. Selective mutism is an anxiety condition that temporarily prevents communication. Sometimes they will speak completely freely, other times they might freeze with anxiety. That child may seem to be quite rude, but would love to change the way they're viewed. Inside that child has lots to say. You can help them find a way. Spend time having fun and building trust. No speech required is a must. That child who does not speak to you will in time, if you will help them too. Thank you. The prelude prepares us for worship. Please rise in body or spirit for the lighting of the chalice. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage, with our deepest convictions, to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith, with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, with love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. In the spirit of inclusivity and welcome, please take this next few moments to greet those around you, especially those you may not recognize. Please be seated for the opening words. We gather together here now, summoning our courage to be. We gather bringing our weariness and our energy. We gather bringing our weariness and our visions. Like trees in rocky places, our roots clutch what we find is each other. What we find is each other holding tightly. Courage is not certitude. Courage is not assurance. Courage is the willingness to join in the attempt, to join in the unlikely, even in the impossible. Courage is a choice. Courage is a way of knowing. Courage is a way of joining together. Courage is knowing that together we will do what none of us can do alone. Please rise and body your spirit for the opening hymn, 108 in the hardcover hymnal. I now invite John to give the offertory.
Good morning. I'm John Laurent, a member of the board. Our church is supported by those who call our church home and by those who support the efforts of our church to change the world for the better. If this is your first time with us, please pass the plate. We are just glad you're here. If you wish to join our church this morning, please come up during the offertory and sign the membership book. We share our cash plate every Sunday with organizations whose work reflects UU values to care for marginalized persons advocate for real and systemic change, defend our environment, and promote justice and equity for all. Today's Share the Plate will be for the Unitarian Universalist Office at the United Nations, otherwise called UU-UNO. From involvement in drafting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, to leading the Faith Caucus to establish the International Criminal Court, to overcoming UN apathy about sexual orientation and gender identity issues, the Unitarian Universalist Association office at the United Nations has a long history of providing strong leadership in all aspects of human rights at a policy level. We appreciate your donations either by placing them in the plate, by mailing your donation to the church, or by using PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Our Venmo account is at UUCBHAM. Our Zelle account is office@uucbham.org. Please designate whether your offering is for UUCBHAM or UUUNO. Thank you for your generous support of our church and our Share the Plate recipient. May we give in love and hope.
Now is that time in our community when we share what is going on in our lives, whether joy or sorrow. For those of you online, please type your joy or sorrow into the chat and hold one another in love by putting parentheses around that person's name. For those of you in person today, you are now invited to come forward and drop a stone in honor or in memory of what is on your heart today. Please come forward. Today we celebrate with some folks having birthdays, and please keep in mind the only reason I know about these is because people tell them. So if you want me to say your birthday, you have to tell me. So this morning we're celebrating with Terry, who celebrated a birthday yesterday, Terry Wright. And we're celebrating with Kathy Taylor. Is Kathy here? Kathy's birthday's today, so maybe she's out partying. And tomorrow, it's Chip's birthday. We also lift up some folks this morning. We lift up Jean Weaver, who recently had a steroid injection in her back to help with some pain. According to her delightful email, her doctor said her spine looked like it belonged to a 100,000-year-old woman. So we're hoping that the steroid injection is helping Jean and that you're feeling better soon. We also lift up all of the inmates of the Alabama Department of Corrections who are on strike this past week, who have been striving for better conditions. And for those of you who have been following that information, it is quite terrifying what those folks are having to live through. So we lift them up as well. May we keep one another in our hearts and minds in the spirit of community and love. Please hear the spoken meditation written by Reverend Dan Schatz in honor of Yom Kippur, followed by a moment of silence. In these days of reflection, our thoughts turn inward. Who am I? How will I be? How will my living further a sacred love? We ask, we turn, and we ask again. How have my actions affected other people? When have I caused pain to another? In what way will I make amends? We ask, we turn, we ask again. How shall I live with the discomfort of responsibility? How shall I forgive others? How shall I forgive myself? We ask, we turn, and we ask again. In the turning and in the asking, we find a deeper truth and a greater love. It is a sacred love, and to this love, once more, again, we turn. Amen and blessed be. Fauna, will you please come up for our LGBTQ moment?
Hello. Oh, that was very loud. I apologize. I scared myself with that. Okay. Hello, my name is Fauna. I use she, her pronouns. I am a trans woman, first and foremost. And today I celebrate my 2-year anniversary of starting hormones. And I mean, hey, estrogen does a body good. Anyway, I'm here to write a poem of my own creation titled Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I used to wonder if birds ever ponder why their wings were given to them instead of bees' stings, why they were given the power of flight instead of a leopard's bite. I still wonder why I cannot touch the sky, why I cannot soar, and why I was given the guttural roar of a tiger when all I want is to go higher and go somewhere over the rainbow, where I can exist, where I can persist to wander with those over yonder who ponder if birds ever wonder. Thank you.
Will the children please come forward? Come join me. I just watched it last night. I don't have it quite memorized yet. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm so glad y'all are coming up here. Good to see all of you. Okay, so how many of you like to read? Anybody? Love reading? You love to read rock star books. Yes, my love, I know. So I have two books up here this morning. One of them, you know what it is, and there's another in this box. But what if I told you that there are people in this world who do not want you to read that book in that box? What does that make you want to do? Read it. Read it! We are a community that supports banned books. And while I'm sure this book isn't explicitly banned yet, people probably think it should be, and they're wrong. We support people reading the books that we want to read, right? Okay, so this book this morning is called It Feels Good to Be Yourself. Does everybody feel good to be themselves? Yeah. You feel good to be yourself? I have no doubt. All right, so this is Ruthie. Ruthie's getting off the bus. Can everybody see? All my friends up close can.
At my school, someone's nickname is Ruth.
Wow. Okay. So, Ruthie is a transgender girl, okay? And that means when she was born, everyone thought she was a boy. And until she grew a little older, old enough to tell everyone that she's actually a girl. So girl is Ruthie's gender identity. Everybody good? All right, this is Ruthie's brother, Xavier. And Xavier is a cisgender boy. That means that when Xavier was born, everyone thought he was a boy. And as he grew up, it turned out everybody was right. He's a boy. And so a boy is Xavier's gender identity, okay? There are many different ways to be a boy or a girl, too many to fit into a book. But not everyone feels like a boy or a girl. Some people feel non-binary. Non-binary is a helpful word that can describe a kid who doesn't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. And I know we have non-binary folks in our church. This is Ruthie's friend Alex. Alex is both a boy and a girl. And so when Alex was born, everyone thought that Alex was a girl, but Alex is both a boy and a girl, and this is Alex's gender identity. What's that? That means maybe some days Alex feels more like a girl and wears more girl-appropriate attire and maybe reflects that in that way. And other times Alex feels like a boy. Yeah, it happens to some people. Yeah, you know a girl named Catalina, yes. Okay, this is Alex's friend JJ. JJ is neither a boy nor a girl. So JJ is another way of being non-binary. So ever since JJ was very little, they never felt exactly like a boy or a girl. They just felt like themselves. And that is JJ's gender identity. Alex and JJ are both non-binary. Just like there are many different ways to be a boy and a girl, there are many different ways to be non-binary. Too many ways to fit into a book. Some kids feel like girls, some kids feel like boys, some kids feel like a little bit of both, part girl, part boy, and some kids don't feel exactly like either. They feel like neither. So some kids feel that their gender identity isn't always the same, it's always changing. Maybe you know someone like that. Piper? Yeah? Yeah, and some people feel like all genders, right? So, and even with all these possible ways to be, some kids don't feel any of the words they know fit them exactly right. And so there are a never-ending number of ways that you can be yourself in the world. Whether you feel like a boy, a girl, both or neither, or some other way of describing yourself, that is your gender identity. Your gender identity might match what people think about you, or it might not. See, when you were born, you couldn't tell people who you were or how you felt, right? Because you were too tiny. Can babies tell us how they feel? No, right? Well, they still have to learn words, right? You are so smart, yes. What's that? Yeah. So they looked at, everybody looks at the babies and they make a guess, you know? And sometimes they get it right and sometimes they get it wrong. So what a baby's body looks like when they're born can be a clue, but maybe it's not. And so it's just one of the many, many pieces. So when people guess wrong, it's okay to let them know. When Ruthie was five, how many of you were older than 5? How many of you remember being 5? At your next birthday, you're going to be 5. Well, on her 5th birthday, Ruthie told her parents, I know you think I'm a boy, but really I feel like a girl. And so, oops, Ruthie was a girl all along. It's just nobody knew it at first, right? So when people guess right, it's also okay to let them know. Xavier was 3.5 when he told his family, I'm a boy and I like being a boy, right? So it can go both ways. You might feel like a boy, you might feel like a girl, you might feel like both a boy and a girl, or like neither. You might feel like your gender changes from day to day or year to year. You might feel like none of these words describes you perfectly, and you might not be sure yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out. Your feelings about your gender are real. Listen to your heart. No matter what your gender identity is, you are okay exactly the way you are. You are loved. That's what I say every Sunday morning when I get in the pulpit the first time. What do I say? Whoever you are, whomever you love, you are welcome here and you are loved. It feels good to be yourself, doesn't it? So I want you all to feel comfortable being yourself and to dig for those books. You have a book at home? Yes. Yes, there is a trans bee on the altar. Does anyone know why? It is LGBTQ History Month. We also have a special speaker this morning that is a trans person named Xenon. And they are going to speak to us in a little bit, but you all are going to go play with and learn with Miss Courtney. So we're going to sing our song together. Can you all help me sing our song together? And then we'll let the adults take us out of here. So we're going to sing it twice through adults. One, each person is worthwhile. Two, be kind in all you do. Three, we help each other learn. Four, and search for what is true. Five, all people get a vote. Six, we'll build some peaceful world. Seven, we take care of the youth. That will bring us back to me and you too. This month's theme at our church is courage, and so we celebrate courage today by inviting a young person from our community forward who wanted to share their journey of gender identity with us this morning. Xenon uses they, them pronouns. Xenon is a sophomore at Hoover High School. They are a percussionist in the competition marching band and part of the IB community. They are also a president of GSA and a member of the Student Diversity Council. Please join me in welcoming Xenon to our pulpit this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I'm so grateful that you are all willing to listen to a young person and be able to learn about their journey, my journey, and be able to educate yourselves on how to be kind to people like me that you may know. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm not gonna lie, I've never done this to so many people before. But there's a first time for everything. So I'm sure you all have this pamphlet that I made. It is going to guide you through my presentation, as I thought it would be helpful to have a visual aid to what I'm speaking about and something to take home with you in order to help you remember and guide yourself through further research if you decide to do that. I wanted to speak today to help give everyone a kind of base knowledge and a general explanation, because when I came out, my parents were very confused. Back in their day, it wasn't all as in the news and out in the world as it is today. And I'm sure you have all noticed a trend of people coming out as LGBTQ. And I can assure you, it is not because of TikTok or those darn phones. People finally feel able to be themselves and talk to people about being themselves and be open with people, because the world is starting to take a turn for the better. And I'm so glad. So if you look inside your pamphlet on the, I suppose that's the second page, not the title page, you're going to see 8 flags, and those are some of the, not necessarily most common, but identities that are good to know. And if you are unaware, in the LGBTQ community, each identity has a flag that goes along with it, and the colors in the flag often stand for something. I don't have time to go over all of the colors in the flags because, as you can see, some of them have many different colors, and the meanings are often disputed within the community. Unfortunately, it is not all sunshine and rainbows. So if you look in the top box, it says gender identities. You will see the first one is the trans flag, just like the little B. It is blue, pink, and white. The blue stands for masculinity, the pink femininity, and the white a neutrality or a bridge between them all. Transgender is when someone, like Ruthie, doesn't feel like their gender identity corresponds with the one that was assigned to them at birth. Transgender is also an umbrella identity. It encompasses all of the other identities I'm going to speak about, and it really just means someone who does not identify with the gender that they were assigned at birth, whether that be a boy who feels like they were born, maybe they were born a girl, but they decided that they didn't really feel like a girl, and that maybe the parts of their body didn't fit them right, and that's okay. Or it can be the other round. It can be a girl who was born a girl, but she doesn't feel like a girl. He's a boy. He maybe might not love his boobs or other parts of his body, and that's okay. That's why people tend to get surgeries or take hormones to change the way their body looks to help fit them better. Not agreeing with parts of your body is often referred to as dysphoria, and it can be very crippling and is often a cause of depression in transgender youth and transgender adults. The second one, oh, they have numbers, I'm sorry. The first one is transgender. The second one is non-binary. I am a non-binary individual. Non-binary, again, is an umbrella term, but it falls under the transgender term as well. Non-binary can mean you feel like a mix of many genders, none at all, or just a few. To me, being non-binary means that some days I like to embrace my feminine side, put on all that makeup and a cute dress, and I like to go out to dinner. Other days I feel more masculine, Maybe I try to make my face look a little more masculine, a harder jawline. People who are transgender often use makeup to help themselves feel more aligned in expression-wise with their gender. So there are two parts to someone's identity. Gender is how they identify themselves. Oftentimes people will use a label. Other times they decide that they want to go unlabeled and they just want to be themselves. The other part is expression. Many people express their gender in different ways. Some people express in a more masculine way, some people in an androgynous way, and some people in a feminine way. Someone's gender expression does not necessarily align with their identity all the time. I tend to present more feminine on a daily basis, but I am non-binary and pretty much gender neutral. I don't really feel very inclined to either of the boy or girl spectrum very much. The third one is gender fluid. That often people describe it as feeling like they shift between genders. One day they feel more masculine, one day they feel more feminine, other times they feel neutral, or both at the same time. The fourth one is genderqueer. This is often used as an umbrella term to help someone just describe a gender that doesn't fit within the traditional binary, which is male and female, which is why non-binary is any of the ones that aren't specifically just male or female. The pronouns that somebody uses do not always align with their gender identity. Non-binary people can use he, him, she, her, or any other pronouns. They can also use they, them. Transgender people can use different pronouns as well. She, her, he, him, they, them, any neo-pronouns. One second, sorry. I wanted to kind of share with you my experience in discovering my gender identity. When I was younger, I used to play with the boys at recess. I liked to be one of the boys. I liked to kick the ball around, play some soccer, but I was always picked last, even though I played competitive soccer. The boys always picked me last because they thought I was a girl. And girls are apparently not good at sports. But I've seen some pretty darn good ones in my time playing soccer. I wanted to be friends with the girls as well, but I couldn't quite understand them. They were so dramatic and extra, and I thought I was so different. I was, but I didn't know, and I didn't have the words to describe it. It was hard to come to terms with the fact that due to my gender identity, I will likely be denied privileges later in life, and that I may not be welcome in all spaces that I come to. And I'm hoping that that will change as our world, again, is taking a turn for the better and becoming more inclusive and more accepting. And I'm so glad that I am able to share my experience here with you all, because it shows that people are willing to learn and people are willing to listen to someone who is probably a lot younger than them. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm quite loaded with many things. School is very demanding. But my teachers have all been kind to me and very accepting and willing to learn, and I think that shows a lot about how far we have come. There are many accepting teachers, and there are also not many teachers who are accepting. And some of my friends do struggle with that, but because of the communities that I am in, IB, which is a very diverse group, there are people of all races, all religions, all gender identities and sexualities present in IB, and they tend to be very accepting and ready to learn, no matter what their values are. And I'm very glad for that opportunity and to feel safe attending school, because I know there are people, especially in Texas, in Florida, I know you've probably all seen the news. Some people like to turn off the news because it's sad. It is. I don't like to watch the news. I do like to read it. I do see it on TikTok. Oh no, I know. TikTok is not a good place to get your information, but really, truly it is becoming more of a way for people to understand themselves, understand other people, and get news. I know many people my age who like to scroll through TikTok see news that way. People on TikTok like to do little blurbs, these 60-second videos going over things that have happened around the world. There's one person on TikTok. He does queer news every day. He finds something new to talk about, whether it be anti-queer legislation, a lot of which has been going around recently, or whether it be something good that has happened, or someone who is fighting for our rights. Just like this church, which I'm so glad, because I didn't know it existed before, and I'm very glad that I know now, because this is a wonderful place, and I'm very happy there is a church that agrees with many of the things that I believe in. The sexual identities of people do not have anything to do with their gender identity for the most part. I am non-binary, and I'm attracted to non-men, which would fall under lesbian. You've probably heard this before. It's the L in LGBTQ. It is described as non-men who love non-men. That's the first flag. The second flag is gay, the G in LGBTQ. This is described as non-woman loving non-woman. The third is bisexual. Many people see this as someone who loves only two genders, but it can mean two or more. You can love all genders and be bisexual. The flag of bisexuality is represented by pink and purple and blue. The pink stands for an attraction to woman and femininity. Purple being a mixture of loving men, woman, and anyone on any spectrum. The third, blue, stands for loving masculinity or men. And the fourth flag you will see in this box is pansexual. This is often described as gender blind in their attraction. Some people see it as an attraction to all genders with preference, or an attraction to all genders without preference. Many of my pansexual friends say they're attracted to somebody no matter how they look, no matter how they identify. That doesn't mean they're necessarily attracted to every single person that they come across. Some people like to think, oh, so everybody has a crush on me now. Not quite. Pansexual people often face a lot of phobia, as well as bisexual people. Many people like to argue that bisexual and pansexual are the same thing. Honestly, I just think you need to love who you love, and it doesn't really need a label. Everyone should be able to feel comfortable in who they are, and if a label doesn't fit them, that is fine. I know there are many confusing things being put out in media today. It is often confused between gender and sex. Sex is what you were assigned at birth. Male, female, or intersex. It is differed by genitalia, oftentimes. However, intersex people often have a combination of male and female genitalia, or neither. They're not well represented in today's society, but I know in Native American culture that they are very well represented and often described as two-spirit, but that you don't have to be intersex to be two-spirit. Two-spirit is an identity from Native American culture where someone feels both or neither genders. It is like non-binary. Two-spirit people are given an important role oftentimes in their society, whether it be religious or helping raise children. Two-spirit people can also have many different sexualities. They are not trapped in one sexuality or always needing to be one sexuality. So I tried to include a helpful little, I think it's called a Venn diagram, the two circles that come into one, and there's this little middle part. I love visual things. They're quite wonderful. The blue one is male. The female one is pink. XY versus XX, those are the chromosomes. The one in the middle is intersex people, represented by many different pairs of chromosomes, or not pairs, triplets. Like I said, intersex people don't get much representation, but hopefully now you all can go into your research knowing that people exist and not just thinking of everything as quite so binary, like we have been told. We have been strongly influenced by the European idea of a binary life. It is often more of a Western idea, but genders outside of the binary have been around for many, many years. It was present in the early Central Americans as well as the early North Americans. Indigenous people, like I mentioned before with Two-Spirit, our gender identity outside of the binary. I'm not sure if there's a name for it, but there were Mayans and Aztecs, communities who were advanced far beyond their times and far beyond the Europeans that came to colonize them. Cities of gold, temples, higher than and larger than any city in Europe. They were an advanced civilization. They were in no means primitive like we have been taught. They had many systems. They had a calendar. They had religious systems. Sure, they practiced human sacrifice, but I'm sure as a human race we've all moved a little further than that. I'm trying to prove that they weren't just silly people who had these ideas that boys and girls could be something different and that they were just making up crazy ideas. They were an advanced people, just like the Europeans were, but they did not have such a binary view of life, and unfortunately with colonization, the binary view of life has been imposed on us, like you see in your everyday life with bathrooms. There are only bathrooms for males and females, represented by a little skirt or no skirt to differentiate the two. This is a very binary way of looking at things. However, there are bathrooms and places that have bathrooms that are open to both males and females. And I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but that's what stalls are for. If you've ever been to another country and been to a bathroom there, you may realize that their stalls may be a bit hotter, as the holes in them are not as large as they are here. Many times in other places, the bathrooms are for both or either genders. They're not separated. But I think it's all something we have to learn together, learn to accept each other, because in the end, we're all just humans. We're all the same people. No matter what your religion is, no matter what your sexuality is, your gender identity, no matter what you got in your pants, no matter what your race is. Sorry, no matter what your race is, we're all just humans, and we need to love each other for that. That is something people tend to struggle to accept. I'm sure many of you know the original sin, the story of Adam and Eve, that Eve was made from Adam's rib, and so men are just part of, so that women are just part of men, that they are subservient to them. And many people use that as proof to say that there are only two genders. Eve was made from a man, doesn't that make her also part of a man? We are all just humans. We come from each other. We're all the same, no matter what we look like. I think that is just kind of the basis that we need to wrap our heads around. We're all different in many ways, but we just have different personalities. We are shaped by our experiences, by how we are taught. We are shaped by our parents. I'm hoping that I can shape your lives a bit here today. I'm hoping I can guide you all to help you start in researching and learning more about other people. I'm hoping that you can walk out of this today and think to yourself, hey, perhaps I learned something new today. Perhaps I can go talk to one of my friends with a different view in mind of their sexuality, their gender identity, or how they wish to present themselves. Maybe I won't be so judgmental or restricting in my views of other people. Don't get me wrong, I can be pretty judgmental at times. I'm not saying you need to become a perfect human being by any means, but just to love each other, which is something that this church preaches, and I'm very glad that it does. I mentioned before that people's pronouns do not have to align with their gender identity nor their sexuality. Surprising, I know, your sexuality doesn't have to align with how you are referred to. Pronouns are not a new thing. Neither is using they, them as a singular pronoun. Up until early 1800s, 19th century, they was used to refer to somebody, a singular person, and also a group of people. Before Europeans decided that in the Victorian era, he was to be used to refer to a person. He, him is now seen as a masculine pronoun and is often used along with a little slash next to she to represent one person, because it's so many extra characters just to prove that they cannot be used as a singular pronoun. That is just another example of the binary world that we live in. It's in the ACT, it's in the school system, it's in announcements, and it's in the news. Don't see why they need to put so much work in to do that, but to each their own. They, them, and theirs are pronouns that are used to refer to one person if they're not comfortable with the pronouns she or he. I use they, them, theirs pronouns. I am just one person. But other pronouns can also be used when people do not feel like they fit into the gender binary, or if they do. I met a doctor when I went to the neurologist. She is cisgender. If you do not know what that means, it means that she identifies with the gender identity that she was assigned at birth. She's a cisgender girl. She uses she, they pronouns. You can use other pronouns and you can still identify with a different gender. You can identify as a man and use she pronouns. You can identify as a man and use they pronouns. But you may also use other pronouns, it, its, sie, them, theirs, and many other ones. I have a friend who uses fey, fair, fairs pronouns. I think it gives a very foresty, fairy kind of vibe, and they definitely fit it. But these are called neopronouns. Neo means new. So put together, new pronouns. They are a newer idea, but not necessarily completely new to our time. It has been used as a pronoun to refer to both people and animals. I'm sure you've been taught. The plants are its, but you may also have heard someone say, oh, this plant, she's so pretty. This ship, she is gorgeous. I think it helps prove when we don't pay attention to our language that pronouns are just as fluid as people are. Gender, sexuality, they're all both fluid and they both change. I have identified as many different sexualities before, and I'm sure it will change in the future. If you look on the last page of the pamphlet, I did include a list of some pronouns. The first three, he, him, his, she, her, hers, they, them, theirs, are all probably the most common pronouns. I do, however, have friends who use the pronouns below. Many people pronounce them different ways, and honestly, the easiest thing you can do is ask. When I introduce myself, I like to introduce myself with my pronouns, and I think that is a very good way of being inclusive to people. If any of you use Instagram, Facebook, for you old people out there, I'm kidding, I also have a Facebook account. Whew, I apologize. There is a section in your bio. You can press edit profile. You can add pronouns to your profile. It's a crazy world we live in. But it is so that people can feel more included, so that people can feel safe. In my email signature, I have my pronouns in a little parentheses next to my name. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be flashy. But it is a good way to show that you are accepting, you are caring, and you are ready to help our world move into a better and safer place for people. Underneath the list of pronouns, I included a link. It's a cute little practice website. It helps you. You can choose the pronouns that you want to practice, and it'll give you little sentences, and you can fill in the blanks just like a school assignment. Take you back to the good old days. Underneath that is a list of places that you can put your pronouns. Social media, like I said, Instagram, Facebook. Snapchat doesn't really have a bio, but LinkedIn as well has them for you entrepreneurs and businessmen. I helped my dad set up his LinkedIn page. He's this snazzy man sitting in the first row. If you want to take time later today to practice, or if you have any questions about how to use these pronouns, I am willing to answer them after the service. When you introduce yourself, it is good to add pronouns. I'm Xenon. This is my handshake. I use they, them pronouns. I am Roger. That's my dad's name. I use he, him pronouns. Go with your nice firm handshake to show you are a distinguished person. When I was looking through the slideshow of the presentation that I gave last year, which is how I got to come across this opportunity to speak to you all, I gave a presentation last year in my crew class, which is kind of this class where you come together right before lunch or after lunch with a group of people. For me, it's pre-IB students. Sorry. We had to give a presentation about something that was happening in the world. So I chose this comedy show that had been released recently. At the time, it was recent. It was about November-ish of last year, or actually it might have been earlier. You may have heard of it, The Closer by Dave Chappelle. It was at the height of some interesting news articles. It was not very funny, actually, for a comedy show, and I actually do listen to comedy sometimes. I find it enjoyable, but all of his comedy was making fun of other people. He liked to point out many times how just queer people, he felt, got a high road in life. He felt that queer people forced it upon other people. I think it's just kind to be accepting of other people. If someone asks you to use different pronouns, it's just the way you speak, the way you refer to them. I think we all need to feel some humility, I think, in accepting other people, but that also means accepting people who might refuse to accept people, and that's okay. But when I was looking through the slideshow of the presentation, I was looking at some of the sources I had cited, including the Trevor Project survey. It's a national survey they give every year. They have statistics, lots of numbers for you numbers people. Just look up Trevor Project National Survey 2022. Last year when I gave the presentation, I cited how many, or the percentage of trans youth that had attempted to kill themselves or felt suicidal thoughts or had suicidal tendencies in the past year. Last year, it was 42%. When I looked this year, it was 45%. It went up, clearly. I don't mean to make this sad or make you all feel bad or feel sad. It's part of why I didn't include the statistics in your little pamphlet, so that you would take something happy home with you. We don't always feel that the world is made for us, and we don't live in the most accepting place in the universe. This is the southeastern United States, right in the Bible Belt. Nothing like some good old Southern hospitality. I have spoken about how welcomed I feel at school and how my teachers are accepting. But I have also had poor experiences at my school. My friend group has been hate crimed multiple times at my school. They yelled slurs at us. They threw, thankfully unopened, ketchup packets at us after lunch. And after a dance, Sadie's, last year, I took one of my friends. We were told to kill ourselves, and many other not nice words I don't feel like repeating, at a school event. I feel that people should be able to be themselves and feel safe as themselves wherever they go, especially children like myself who have a more fragile mind. It is easy to hurt their feelings. My feelings were certainly hurt. But I feel like they should be able to be safe at school. They should be able to go learn math, as difficult as it may be, learn science, without being worried for their safety, without being worried that when the substitute teacher calls out their name, that they're going to call out the name that is on the roster and not the name that they go by. Is anyone here a teacher or a substitute teacher? I know it's difficult, and I know that it is hard to help these students sometimes. I know you may not know what to do, how to do it, how to be welcoming. If a student comes up to you on the first day of school, on the last day of school, somewhere in between, and they tell you that they wish to use different pronouns and that they wish to use a different name, you're doing something right. They feel safe enough to tell you, and I think that is a big step both for the student and the teacher. It says a lot. But I think another way of being inclusive or helping people not feel an amount of dysphoria when their name is called is if they just tell you that they want to use that name. I've seen many teachers write it into the roll next to them, how they prefer to go by. I think also that you could hand out a roster with that you made with the preferred names of everybody, so that when they call out the name, it's fine. I know that may also be difficult because you have to go to the attendance if someone is missing, and I'm sure you have to put their legal name in. But I think it is easier to have examples given to you of how to be more inclusive so that you have something to think about, so that you can go home and reflect on your everyday life, the things you do every day, how they affect other people, how they affect yourself. So that you can go home and maybe you can change the way you think about some things. Maybe you can change the way teachers that you act in your classroom. Maybe you can change the way people that go to work, how you think about how you act with people that you work with. I can assure you, someone that you work with is queer. They probably just don't talk about it. It is not our whole personality for most of us. People like to claim we make it our whole personalities. I want you to take today, have a little homework, again, back to the good old days of school, to go home and think about grandchildren, your children, children you may teach, people you may know, your friends. If you know that any of them are queer or if you don't, think about how you can be more inclusive when you meet random strangers. Because then they're not strangers anymore, they're acquaintances. But whether they're a stranger, an acquaintance, a friend, a lover, or a partner, you should treat them with respect. And you should think about how your actions can be inclusive to people. It doesn't take much time to put your pronouns in your social media or in your email signature or when you're introducing yourself. It may take a little more time to research any of the things that I have mentioned today. And I hope you will all go home and research. And if you need help or you don't know where to start, I'm hoping that this has helped, and if it hasn't, I'm willing to talk to anybody after the service. I want to thank you all for being here today, and to those who are online who are watching. I'm so glad that I've been given the opportunity to speak to you, to share part of my experience, and to share ways that you can be more inclusive in your daily life. I hope that you can walk out, hopefully not with a sense of sadness for the amount of people that we have lost due to unacceptance. A little bit decreases the rate of suicide by a lot. If you have queer children, you probably know that. You've probably researched it. You've probably seen it. I hope that you can go today and be yourself and be accepting of yourself and be accepting of other people. And I hope that you can reflect and love everybody equally, no matter who they love and no matter who they are. Thank you for letting me speak today. I know I'm just 15. and I know I am just a child, and I might not know everything in the world just yet. In fact, I don't even have a full year's driving experience yet. I don't even have my driver's license. I'm getting it in a week, actually. But I don't know everything, and I may make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, part of the human condition. But if you can try in your everyday to be more inclusive and helpful to other people and serve others, then I think that we've all done our part to be human and be with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Zenon, for having the courage to share with us this morning, to share your authentic self and the ways that we can better love one another by knowing one another better. Mark.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, Extinguishing of the Chalice, and remain standing through the benediction. Our closing hymn is There Is More Love Somewhere, hymn number 95. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, we have gathered under the banner of a shared faith. We are born of a welcoming grace that extends and receives love. We are touched by the ways we have fallen short of who we strive to be. And here we are reborn, forged by a greater courage. Let us move from this place, encouraged and refreshed for the journey ahead.
Go in peace as we love one another.